Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai. In our last discourse, we heard about the king that gave birth to his son. And when it came to feeding the child, Indra put his thumb into his mouth, and the baby received nourishment through that. So he was called Mandata. We'll go on to chapter 10. Vedavyasa said, O king, that king Mandata, true to his promise, conquered one after another the whole world and became the paramount sovereign of all the other emperors and got the title of Sarvabhuma, sovereign of all the earth. O king, what more to speak of Mandata's influence at that time than that all the robbers, struck with terror, all fled to the mountain caves. For this reason, Indra gave him the title Trasadasu. He married Bindumati, the daughter of Sasa Bindu. Her limbs were proportioned and perfect, and so she was very beautiful. Mandata had two children, sons with that wife, the famous Purakatsa and Mukukunda. Purakatsa had his son Anaranya. This prince was celebrated by the name of Bardasva. He was very religious and deeply devoted to his father. His son Harisasva, he was religious and knew that the highest reality. His son Tridhanva, his son was Aruna. Aruna's son was Satyavrata. He was actually very avarice, lustful, wicked, and willful. Once on occasion, that vicious prince, overpowered by lust, stole away the wife of one of the Brahmins and so created a hindrance in his marriage. O king, the Brahmins, united in a body, came to the king Aruna, bewailing and lamenting, and uttered repeatedly, "At last we are ruined." The king addressed to the grieved subjects, the Brahmins, "O Brahmins, what harm has been done to you by my son?" Hearing this, the good words of the king, the Munis versed in the Vedas repeatedly blessed him and said, "O king, you are the foremost of the powerful. Your son is like today. He has forcibly stolen away during the marriage ceremony a Brahmin daughter already given over in marriage." The highly religious king, hearing the words of the Brahmins, took them to be true and said to his son, "O one of evil understanding, you have rendered today your name useless by perpetuating this evil act. O vicious one, get away from my house. O sinner, you will never be able to live in my country." Seeing his father angry, Satyavrata repeatedly said, "Father, where shall I go?" He said, "Live with the Chandalas? You have stolen a Brahmin's wife, and so you have acted like a Chandala. Go and live with them happily. O disgrace to your family, I don't like to get issues through you. You have obliterated the family name. So, O sinner, go wherever you like." Hearing this, the words from the angry father, Satyavrata instantly quitted the house and went to the Chandalas. The prince, wearing his coat of armor and holding bows and arrows, began to spend away his time with the Chandalas. But he could not get out of his breast the feeling of sympathy and mercy. When he was banished by his liberal-minded, angry father, the Guru Vasistha instigated the king to the above purpose. Satyavrata was therefore very angry with Vasistha, inasmuch as he, versed in the Dharma Sastras, did not dissuade the father from banishing his son. His father then, owing to some inexplicable cause, quitted the city, and for the sake of his son, went to the forest to practice austerities. O king, owing to the sinful act, Indra did not reign at all at his kingdom for 12 whole years. O king, just then Vishvamitra, too, keeping his wife and children in that kingdom, began to practice severe austerities on the banks of the river Kasuki. The beautiful wife then fell into great trouble about how she would maintain the family. All the children were pained with hunger, and they began to cry, begging for rice food, nibar. The chaste wife of Kasuki became very much troubled in seeing all this. She thought, seeing the children hungry, where am I to go now, and from whom to beg, and what to do, inasmuch as the king was not then staying in the kingdom? The husband is not also near, so who will protect my children? The boys are incessantly crying. Fie, therefore, to my life, she thought also thus. My husband has left me in this penniless state. We are suffering for want of money. He does not know this, though he is quite able. Save my husband, who else will support my sons? They will all die now of starvation. I might sell one of my sons. Wherever I get out of that, I can support the others with that money. This is now my highest duty. I ought not do otherwise and kill all my children, so I will now sell one of my sons to support the others. Thus hardening her mind, she went out, tying the child by a rope around his neck. The Muni's wife, for the sake of the other children, fastened the middle son by a cord and got out of her house. The prince Satyavrata saw her distressed with pain and sorrow and asked, "O beautiful one, what are you now going to do? Who are you? This boy is crying. Why have you tied him by a rope around his neck? O fair one, speak out truly to me the cause of all this." The rishi's wife said, "O prince, I am the wife of Vishvamitra. These are my sons. I am now going for want of food to sell one of these out of my own accord, O king. My husband has gone away to practice tapasya. I do not know where he has gone. There is no food in the house, so I will sell one to support the other sons." Satyavrata said, "O chaste one, save your children. I will bring to you articles of food from the forest till your husband does come home. Daily I will fasten some food on a tree close by your ashram. This I speak truly." The wife of Vishvamitra, hearing these words of the prince, freed the child of the fasting and took him to her ashram. The child was named afterwards as Kalaba, due to the fasting by his neck. He became a great rishi afterwards. The Vishvamitra's wife then felt great pleasure in her home, surrounded by her children. Filled with regard and mercies, Satyavrata duly performed his task and provided daily the family of Vishvamitra with food. He used to hunt wild boars, deer, buffaloes, and used to take their flesh to the place where used to dwell the wife of Vishvamitra and the children, and tie it to that adjoining tree. The rishi's wife used to give those to her children, thus getting excellent food. She felt very happy. Now when the king Aruna went for tapasya to the forest, the Muni Vasistha carefully guarded the Ayodhya city and the palace and the household. Satyavrata, too, used to sustain his livelihood daily by hunting. According to his father's order, and abiding by dharma, lived in the forest outside the city. Satyavrata cherished always in his heart, for some cause, a feeling for anger toward Vasistha. When his father banished his religious son, Vasistha did not prevent his father. This is the cause of Satyavrata's anger. Marriage does not become valid until 7 footsteps are taken around the fire ceremony. So the stealing away of a girl within that period is not equivalent to stealing away a Brahman's wife. The virtuous Vasistha knew that, yet he did not prevent the king. One day the prince did not find anything for hunting. He saw in the forest the cow of Vasistha giving milk. Very much distressed by hunger, the king killed the cow like a dacoit, partly out of anger and partly out of delusion. He fastened part of the flesh to the tree for the wife of Vishvamitra, and the remainder he ate himself, O one of good vows. The Vishvamitra's wife did not know it to be beef and thought it to be deer, and so fed her sons with that. Now when Vasishtha came to know that his cow had been killed, he was inflamed with anger and spoke to Satyavrata, O vicious one, what a heinous crime you have committed, like a pasaka, by killing the cow. For the killing of the cow, the stealing of a Brahmin's wife, and the fiery anger of your father, for these 3 crimes, let there come out on your head 3 sankus, or 3 marks of leprosy, as the sign for your crimes. From this day, you will be widely known by the name Trisanku, and you will show your pasaka from on to all the beings. The prince Satyavrata, thus cursed by Vasishtha, remained in that retreat and practiced severe tapasya. But he got from a Muni's son the excellent mantra of the highest auspicious Devi Bhagavati and became merged in the contemplation of that. Here ends the 10th chapter of the 7th book on the story of Satyavrata in the Mahapuran Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Veda Vyasa. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.